Hello and welcome to the Art of Life project. It's really good to have you here. My name is Tash Mitch. I'm a life coach, an energy alchemist, a writer, and a creative. The Art of Life project was created to explore what it means to make our life a work of art. And today, joining me, I've got Jacqueline Hurst. Jacqueline is a clinical hypnotherapist and also a master life coach herself. She is also the founder of the Life Class, which is an outstanding and exceptional online life coaching school. And I met Jacqueline when I interviewed her for my book, Artists of Health, which is basically a spotlight on some of the most amazing innovators and pioneers in the world of natural health. Welcome. It's so good to have you here.
It's so good to see you. I always have so much love for you, and I feel your energy even coming through the Skype. It's amazing. You've just got this beautiful energy, Tash. It's such an honor to be part of this with you.
Oh, and it's such an honor to be sitting opposite you and your gorgeous presence as well. So thank you for this. So basically, with this project, it's really about exploring. If we were to look at life and look at it as a work of art, so almost like being a Picasso or, just painting our life or sculpting our life, what would that mean? Making our sort of setting conscious intentions to make our life a work of art. And really, I wanted to explore that concept a little bit with you because I know that in your work, you work very closely with people in helping them to sculpt their life and to make the best out of the life that they have, and to really have a strong perception, positive perception of their life and where they're going with it. So it was really interesting for me to get your take on what that would mean, what it would mean to make your life a work of art.
I think when you say that, what does it mean to make your life a work of art? The first thing that comes into my mind is about having a blank canvas and really allowing yourself to choose whatever colors you want. And just because everybody else's art is pink, it doesn't mean that yours needs to be pink. It means that if you want to have it purple, blue, red, and orange, go ahead and do it. It's all about, for me, creating something that's you and you personally, because Tash, we're all very unique. We've all been, I believe, put here on this planet to really love our uniqueness and live in our uniqueness and be proud of our uniqueness as well. And I've always been one for not necessarily, following the tribe of what we should or shouldn't be looking like or saying or doing, because we've all got different parts of us that could come out and create a life of ultimately what we're meant to do, and that isn't always the thing that we think we're meant to be doing because everybody else is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely, and I actually I love that concept of basically that individualistic element of really creating a work of art with your life that's yours, that's authentically you. I like that concept a lot.
yeah, I think it's really important. I mean, that's a lot of the work that I do here with my clients, Tash, of explaining to them that you don't have to look a certain way, you don't have to be a certain size. You can be confident. You're born to be confident, and that means creating your own work of art of exactly how you're meant to be. And your soul will always tell you that. It's always in there. It's just whether we're connected and enough to listen to that.
Absolutely. And it's really pointing the spotlight on work as well, because that's a huge element of our lives, and our working life is something that is our creation at the end of the day. So when you think of actually making work, making your work your art, what comes up as a concept for you with that?
Wow, I've got so many things, Tash. I think probably the biggest thing for me is about basically showing people that they are allowed to be themselves.
Yeah.
And that they don't have to ask anybody or justify anything, and that it's completely okay to be who they are. That's the biggest thing I think that comes up for me, of just removing the shackles of society and culture, and showing them that ultimately they can be who they are and they can really step into that, and that's when they grow.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, when you actually think of, tapping into that inner creator and tapping into that inner artist within yourself, what comes up with that? What, how do you tap into your inner artist?
I think there's lots of different ways. I really do believe in stillness, and
Mm,
I think it's really important, especially in the world that we live in, to, I always, my saying is to say go in, and
yeah.
to just literally, even if it's 2 minutes of your day or 3 minutes of your day, if you can just stop and go in, for me, that's the perfect way to connect or reconnect if I'm, out too much. So
Sure.
I think the stillness is very, very important to do that. And also understanding that, even as adults, there's still that child inside of us that needs to come out and play sometimes.
Mm,
And we often take life very, very seriously. And I like to, definitely spend some part of my day, you know, remembering that child and having fun with it and
mm.
enjoying it and being silly if I want to, and especially laughter and humor. I think that's really important to remember that, it's not all heavy and we can choose humor and laughter if we want to as well.
Absolutely. I love the idea of the inner child as well, because that part of us is, for some time, when we are really serious, really needs that nurturing. It needs that acknowledgement. And so to have fun with things is really important. And I also think fun actually brings a lightness out, which is basically a really good way of tapping into the inner creator, because that's the creative element of ourselves.
Absolutely.
So when we do that on a playful stance.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. I mean, I'm also very into, I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not religious at all, but I definitely believe in the synchronicity of life, the energy of it, the
Mm,
law of attraction, karma,
mm,
and I pray. I think that's really important too, to connect, to my creator, to just, be grateful as well and thankful for what I have. And I think also gratitude is really important, that I always say to my clients, we can never be grateful and miserable at the same time. It's really hard to do. So I think, remembering the things that we can be thankful for is also a really powerful way to be connected and say, thank you.
Absolutely. I think that the attitude of appreciation, just appreciating the small things, can actually make you understand how profoundly amazing life can be.
I think,
Because there's so many elements of our lives and people as well, the people in our lives, who actually allow us to express who we are and also help us to grow into who we are. The family member that keeps you grounded because they tease you all the time, or the person that's actually got that innate wisdom that kind of like is your go-to person. All of those sort of things, I think, actually make such a huge difference when we actually are appreciating the people and the things in our lives like that.
yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that people, I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I think that people definitely come in and out our lives for a reason at the right times as well. So,
Absolutely.
people just come in when they're meant to come in, and they go when they're meant to go. It's very, it's about letting go of that, control thing as well. I think that's really important, just to allow your life to flow,
Yeah.
because it's all happening how it's meant to be happening.
And that's the interesting thing of life being art in that way, or that concept for me I find incredibly exciting, because as an artist you actually have to surrender to the process of the art, and to allow the energy to flow through you in order to have that creative process happen, and for it to happen in a way that's kind of quite graceful. And for me I see life being in that way as well, where ultimately there's a creative element where we're constantly asking questions about, where are we going next, and actually opening ourselves to the answers that are coming through. But there's also that element of surrender as well, where as the artist you like literally need to surrender to the moment and surrender to that creative force and that creative energy.
I completely agree with you. I really do. I think living in the moment is really, that's art in itself, isn't it? Of actually choosing to be present in your moments and not in your past and not in your future and not, not anywhere else, but literally now. I mean, that is all we have.
And that's where the creative process is, really, isn't it? It's right here and right now. Because that's when you really completely align to your creative energy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's kind of like a lot of the work that you're doing is really in line with that, isn't it? It's kind of bringing people back into that alignment of here and now.
That's exactly it. I mean, that's, priority for me with all of my clients. And I think also, Tash, we were all born, there's a saying, isn't it? I think it was a Wayne Dyer saying that we're all born with music within us, and it's whether we're going to play that music or whether we're not. And I really do believe that. And I think when we can step into that music as such, that's in our soul, that's in our hearts, that we're born to do, that is when that's when you're living, truly living. And you'll see that with people, people that love cooking, and you watch them and they're really in the moment. And that to me is real art. People that are really in their moment when they're doing that thing that they love. To me, that's just beautiful.
Yeah. And so getting into the moment, you mentioned about meditation, and you mentioned about kind of, coming back to center. Is that the way that you get into the moment?
I do. I mean, I do use meditation. I try and do that daily, which is important.
How does a meditation practice work? Because, I hear a lot of people going, how do you meditate? Do you meditate by trying to blank your mind and not think of anything? Or do you meditate by just getting into the breath and just getting into a sense of stillness? How do you do it?
For me, it's literally sitting on the floor, crossing my legs. I put my hands on my knees, and I literally just focus on my breath.
Yeah.
And there's a gap in between the breath in and the breath out, and I focus on that.
Yeah.
And I quieten my mind, and it takes, time to really do that. And, someone once said to me, which was a great thing about meditation, it's a bit like taking a puppy for a walk. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but, you're like taking it for a walk, and you're like, heel, and it like puds along, and it's really happy, and then it sees this thing over there and it goes, and then you like have to bring it back again, and you're like heel, and then it goes over here and that's exactly like your mind, and you just have to train it to heal, and sometimes it's going to go off again. That's its natural way of it wanting to be. So it's a practice, I think, especially with meditations, to just not judge yourself. And even going into meditation or trying to do meditation is in itself a meditation, I think.
Absolutely.
Because you're just slowing down.
Yeah. And that's so important, because basically in order to find that creative energy, that creative force within ourselves, it so requires a stillness in the mind. I mean, not like a complete quietness where there's kind of like nothing else going on, because I think a lot of people try and achieve that and get really frustrated. So they sit there trying to meditate, going, well, why is my mind not blank?
I can't do it. But
I can never meditate, when it's actually really about just getting an element of quietness, so that you can actually hear the whisper of your own creative instinct and your own creative voice, basically.
Exactly. That is the place where you hear it.
Absolutely. Jacqueline, thank you so much. This has been amazing.